This is going to be amazing. I will say, just like in all other times, make sure we behave ourselves, make sure that everything is positive and fun and cool in this band. This is going to be an awesome time. We've got a little movie that was made 40 years ago. We've got a reunion for the cast from 40 years ago. From Gremlins, let's make a ton of noise for director Joe Dante, Zach Galligan, and the one and the only Howie Mandel!
Please, sit down. That's not necessary. Look at this. Look at this ovation. Wow. Wow. Can you feel the excitement? And they got a barrier, like they're rushing to come up here.
They would, I'm telling you right now. They would absolutely do that.
Oh, look. We're projected the exact same size behind us.
That's right, but you know why they do that?
How does that make it easier for them?
Well, but a vendor in the back corner might want to be able to see the panel too, so that's why they do that.
But it's no bigger. So back there, we look just as far away as up there.
You never.
It doesn't make sense.
So you guys have a little movie called Gremlins that was made 40 years ago. I'm going to start off with just some random questions. Like, do you guys consider this a Christmas movie?
I'm a Jew. So yes.
Of course it's a Christmas movie.
It's 100% a Christmas movie. I always kind of got annoyed when I heard Bruce Willis say that Die Hard wasn't a Christmas movie. Because my feeling was kind of like, look, you're a wonderful actor and you're in the movie, but why do you get to decide? You guys get to decide whether or not it's a Christmas movie. It's the audience that decides, right?
I thought of it as a very decorated Hanukkah film.
So Hanukkah film, Christmas film, there we go.
You know, this is the first time that I have met him.
This is the first time you've met him, huh? How crazy is that?
I've never met him before.
It's true.
In 40 years, even though he did the voice for Gizmo and he was the star of the movie, they never met.
Until about an hour ago.
He fed me after midnight, and we never met.
There you go.
And you guys got to be there to witness it. How incredible is this?
And you know what's amazing? It took me 41 years to meet him. I don't really like the guy. It's not that, he's not that great.
I've lost all my fur.
No, he's a sweetheart. We had a wonderful photo op with a lot of you guys out there. It was fantastic. It was a blast. Thank you for doing it.
So Joe, you came up with the idea of no water, no bright lights or lights.
No, I didn't come up with the idea.
Okay, well it was come like this. So
The writer Chris Columbus, who wrote this as a spec script, which means you write it to show people how you can write, but you don't necessarily expect anybody to make the movie. And Steven Spielberg found it and decided he did want to make the movie. But the whole idea of the Gizmo and the Gremlins and the rules and all that kind of stuff all started with Chris Columbus.
Were there any other conditions that were considered, or were those the three right off the bat and that was going to be it, or was there anything else you're like, oh, this might be good for the movie?
All three are so ridiculous that we really didn't need any more. It was very arbitrary. We were very worried that the audience doesn't buy this idea, that they're going to not lose interest in the movie. And so we were a little worried the first time we showed it to an audience. And I think it'll really pick up on this, don't get them wet stuff and everything. But the audiences want the movie to be good. And so they said, okay, you've got rules. We'll be on your side unless you break them. And of course, when we break the rules is when our movie starts. So it was mostly Chris's idea. We embellished it a little bit.
So Zach, you find out through arbitrary, you find out that you shouldn't be putting water on Gizmo. What did you go and do?
No, he didn't do it. Corey Feldman did it.
I actually didn't. I just invited my 11-year-old knucklehead friend, played by Corey Feldman, to come over, and he's basically in my room for about 6 minutes before he knocks a jar of water on Gizmo. So I suppose Billy is guilty of having poor friends.
But then you allow it to kind of go on in a sense, Do you feel like this movie could just be called Billy's Fault?
Probably. I mean, let's put it this way, if I don't break the rules, it's gonna be a pretty slow 90 minutes, isn't it? So you kind of had to things up along and make sure that we got to the fun part, which is the Gremlins going into the swimming pool and causing chaos and flipping over police cars and all sorts of crazy stuff.
So Howie, you have done all kinds of things in your career. There's tons of TV shows you've worked on, but is this your first convention?
No. In fact, it's very funny. I don't know if you know this, but Frank Welker, who was the voice of Stripe and some of the other, he got me into voiceover. But I started doing voiceover. My first job in voiceover was on a show called The Muppet Babies, and I'm Skeeter on The Muppet Babies. But Skeeter talks like this. And then I got a show called Bobby's World, and then which I wrote, and Bobby talks like this. And then he hired me to do Gizmo, and Gizmo goes, same voice. Every job I have is the exact same voice.
So if you take those three characters and you put them in a room with no water, who is going to win that fight?
That's a really good question. I think they're lovers, not fighters. Any of them. I don't know. That's a good question.
So, but as a convention goes, this is your first convention.
I've never been to one of these before.
So what made you decide, out of all the things you've done, you're like, you know what? Spookala in Tampa with these people. This is where I need to have my very first convention.
I haven't made that decision yet. But it sounds like a good one. I don't know. I've never been to one. I got invited to this. I love Florida. I like hanging out in Florida. It was just, I don't know. I was just telling Joe backstage that this is like, it's a whole different world. I want to start doing a lot of these things. I love this. This is pretty amazing.
Are you guys happy that he's in this show the first time? Let it hear ya!
For me, I've been kind of open about this. My mental health, I have anxiety and OCD. I'm kind of a hermit. I don't get out much. So to meet people who are actual fans and remember every moment, every line of something we did 40 years ago is probably the most amazing experience of anybody's life. So thank you. We love you.
So Joe, were there any set pieces on the movie that you were particularly proud of? There's things like the glowing pool, the caroling gremlins, the flying chair out the window. Were there any set pieces in the movie you're like, man, that's my real favorite. I love the way that thing came out in the movie.
No, mostly I was proud of actually getting the movie made at all. It was a very difficult movie to make because we didn't have any support from the studio because they thought they were doing Steven Spielberg a favor to let him make his pet project as long as he didn't spend too much money. They really weren't on board with us, and so we had to basically invent the technology of the Gremlins and figure out things for them to do that they were capable of doing, because many of the things that were written in the script were incapable of being able to done with puppets at that point. And so we did a lot of improvising, and we actually had a sheet on the wall, terrible things for the Gremlins to do to Gizmo. Which included putting him up on the dartboard or throwing darts at him. It was a hate-hate relationship. But the act of actually getting the movie done was a miracle. I mean, everybody was exhausted when it was over, and we were, of course, always hoping for the best. But because it was a movie that had no real big names in it and no publicity.
Zach just kind of
This is Zach's second movie, so it wasn't a big.
I'm just joking. I was a total unknown when I did that movie, so I get it.
And it came out of nowhere, and suddenly it opened the same day as Ghostbusters in New York City, and Ghostbusters beat us everywhere except New York because they had alienated so many people making the movie that they were annoyed about all the traffic jams and stuff, and so we beat them in New York. But they beat us everywhere else, but still they were the two top movies of 1984. And theirs was a big, expensive, star-studded movie, and ours came out of nowhere. And plus we made more money the second week than the first week. And so it ended up being a picture that became unexpectedly popular, as it remains today.
Joe, were there any set pieces that you wanted to put into that movie that just technology budget-wise, there was just no way to be able to actually pull it off in 1984?
Well, we couldn't make Gizmo walk, so we had to have him carried around in a backpack.
Or I drove a car. Remember
And he has a little car that he drives, a little toy car. But the idea, we used marionettes for a while, and we looked at the stuff on screen, and it was just awful. And we cut all that stuff out. I mean, if you get one of the many DVDs or Blu-rays of this movie, there's a whole section of discarded scenes, and it includes some really wonky puppet stuff that just didn't work at all. So our job was to try to make the best of what we could do, and try to turn that into, something that the audience would believe.
So Howie, the Mogwai language was basically just made up gibberish on set, with a few words thrown in, right?
Words, you know what I found amazing about it, and they could do it now. Like, so I didn't like the Mogwai, and Joe was you were very hands-on in as far as he likes touching. No, he was very hands-on as far as coming up with what he would say and how it would say and what the mood would be. So if I didn't like the Mogwai, it was Kakamogwai, But what was really interesting was after we did the movie and it was so successful and it was going to be opening up worldwide, what was funny is for me, they had people come in from other countries. I remember Germany specifically. So I would say, light bright, which light bright, because I couldn't have the light. But they came in and said, well, that kind of rings true to an American and a domestic audience. You kind of know what I'm saying, even though it's not English. But they would give me German sounds. So we had to do, so if in any language, I did the voice again, but with the intonation of whatever their language was.
Do you remember how many different languages you had to go back and cut for it?
We must have dubbed the picture into 7, 8, 9 languages, because at that time, working at Amblin, which is Steven Spielberg's company, they were very specific about the way they sold their movies overseas. And one of the reasons that Gremlins was such a worldwide hit was because in the bar, for instance, they sing German beer songs in the German version. And they sing Spanish beer songs in the Spanish version. And all of the dialogue was rewritten to reflect the pop culture of the country that it was playing in. And so everybody would see the movie dubbed in their language and they think, this is a movie that was made for us. Look at all these references to things that we understand. And that was the key to making it a worldwide success.
There were so many hidden references. That was fun. You let me do some of the voices of some of the random gremlins. And I remember in the bar scene going like, let it be Lowenbrow, which was a commercial that was really big at that time. Now it means nothing to anybody in this room.
There's a lot of stuff like that in the movie. Yes.
So Zach, I know we kind of touched on this earlier, but do you think another concept overarching for this movie could be saying, let's just have some responsible pet ownership?
Well, I mean, I think one of the reasons why it really resonates for 40 years is because at the sort of the core of the story is the idea of obedience, following the rules, and breaking the rules. And obviously it touches on a pretty universal theme. A lot of us would like to break the rules, but we can't. But then the Gremlins come and they can do whatever they want. So we identify that side of our personality, love to just, go into a town, or what do they have these things now? Those destruction rooms where you go in and you just smash stuff, so the Gremlins are kind of like that representation of us that just wants to do whatever they want to without regard for anybody or anything. They just want to, go nuts. And obviously we can't do that, and then I think it's the tension between following the rules and wanting to not follow the rules that subconsciously really works really well in the script for the movie, aside from, this guy being so adorable and Howie doing such a great job with the voice.
So I'm going to break my own panel rule here, but for a good reason. So this is a Gremlins panel, but one of the guys who works tirelessly out in the front, ticket taker, he never gets to come in here and actually see the panels. So him and his daughter Joy, his name is Mike, are huge America's Got Talent fans. And he's like, if you could ask Howie one question for me and my daughter, it would be really big for us. If you could tell me, absolutely, I'd do that. So it's Mike and Julia. So their question was, they said, hey, they're huge ADT fans. That's actually something they watch together. And in 15 years, no comedian has ever won, even though you pushed hard for that.
I push hard. I'm trying.
But there's been times that you've said you might help one of them out after the show. What special quality would a comedian need to have you be excited enough to want to actually like take the extra step, put them on your tour, or
I do it all the time.
Yeah. So I'm saying, what is it?
Preacher Lawson has come on the road with me and played here in Florida with me. I've taken Mike Winfield on the road with me. I just love. I love all performing. That's why I love doing that show. And I think that stand-up comedy is kind of underrated in the sense that movies are this guy. A director tells you, you wake up in the morning, you're driven to work usually, they put a piece of tape on the floor, and they tell you what to say and how to do it, and then they cut it, and it's not like anything, it doesn't seem like anything that actually happened. A comedian comes out there and stands there and kind of just bears their soul, and hopefully you find it funny or you relate to what they're saying, but that's really hard on our show after somebody just lit themselves on fire and is hanging upside down from the ceiling, or you have a whole band singing a hit song or whatever, and then some guy comes out and talks about, how tough it is for him to date. So my heart goes out to people because on America's Got Talent, America chooses and they pick the winner. But the last couple of years, we've had people get all the way to the finals. And I always work with them and take them out and try to give them any opportunity I can.
Well, Mike and Julia, when you see the replay of this thing, hopefully you're glad that your question just got answered.
They're not even in the room?
They can't. He's one of the ticket takers. He works in the front booth for the show, and so he never gets to see the panels.
But where's his daughter?
I think she's out there working with him as well. She's
a ticket taker needs help?
Oh yeah, police security, all that. So they're out there. They're part of the staff working in the front.
Oh, security and everything.
Yeah,
so if you try to fuck with this ticket, my daughter's gonna.
That's exactly right. She's the muscle. Julia's the muscle. You never want to mess with her.
I get it.
But then he's gonna see it. He's gonna appreciate it. So thank you very much.
All right, I get it.
Okay, so I'm going to open the mic up, but we're going to do this a little bit differently than before. So we're going to call 5 people up, but I want it to be something that's going to be a little more Gremlins kind of related, if possible. So you got a Gremlins question? Put your hand up.
Wet yourself.
All 3 right here in the middle, the 2 right there on the edge. Next time I ask people, I'm going to go farther outside. So we're going to do 5. That way we can make sure we actually get to everybody. What's your name? What is your question?
Hello, my name is Charlie, and I was wondering if you guys have a favorite scene you've done, or you've done.
Favorite scene in Gremlins?
If I've had a favorite scene that I've ever done, like in my whole career?
No, in Gremlins.
3 months ago.
My favorite scene in Gremlins would be, I think the swimming pool scene is pretty good. We did a lot of rigging to put like 100 lights in this thing and dropped the gremlin in and smoked it up. And it was all outdoors. You think it's indoors in the movie, but it's actually an outdoor pool with walls. That's a good section of the movie.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt. My question for Joe is on part 2. Was Tony Randall always the first choice for the voice of the Brain Gremlin, or did you have somebody else?
Well, of course we wanted Howie to do it, but no, I'm kidding. Tony Randall was the first choice, and he, to my amazement, said yes, because he'd seen the first movie. And I went to New York to do his session, and it was hilarious. I'll never forget it. And he ad-libbed Up a Storm as the Brain Gremlin. And if you get one of the Blu-rays, there's a section of outtakes and stuff, and it's got a lot of stuff where he doesn't get it right, and then he's sort of chanting, that wasn't right, but I'll get it right the next time. I mean, it's very intimate, and it was really a joy working with him.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, next up, what's your name and what is the question?
Sorry, I had to do that. My name is Amanda, and this movie is amazing. Thank thank you all very much for this contribution. Howie, you are a huge inspiration for voice acting, and I am just curious when Gizmo does like his trill singing where it's like,
Not me.
That wasn't you?
Not me.
Oh, okay.
Who was it?
It was Jerry Goldsmith's, a member of Jerry Goldsmith's congregation, who was like a 14-year-old girl.
From the congregation, right? Hanukkah.
It's a Jewish thing.
And was that in like sheet music? Was that improvised? I mean, it's
No, I think it was written out, but she hummed it.
it's just like so haunting.
I can't sing.
I'm sure you can.
Oh no, I can't.
I didn't know that.
And you know I can't sing.
But thank you all for being here. You're all amazing. Thank you so much.
All right, next up, how you doing? What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Jonathan. Quick question for Howie and for everybody else as well. Gremlins 1 and 2 are so different scales. What's the difference? Like, how did it feel filming one and the other?
The reason they're so different is that as soon as the first one made money, which amazed the studio, because they hated the movie. And then when it came out and made all this money, they said, oh, we got to make another one. And I was exhausted from making the first one. And I said, no, I don't want no more puppets. Can't do puppets. Go away. And so I went away and did other stuff. And over the years, they tried to get more scripts written about Gremlins for a sequel. But since they didn't understand what was good about the first picture, they were completely at sea figuring out how to make a sequel. So they finally came back to me and said, if you'll give us a sequel this summer, we'll let you do whatever you want. And I said, whatever I want. And they said, yeah, whatever you want. I said, okay, but remember you said that. And then I decided to make a movie about why there shouldn't be a sequel to Gremlins.
Can you speak a little louder? What was that?
Well, he's talking about prolapse, and we don't talk about that in this convention. I got canceled a little bit for posting a prolapse anus on TikTok.
He didn't get canceled. He got more legendary. It was the best thing ever. We'll never forget about it.
This is a revelation that most people in the audience probably didn't know.
Are there any prolapse fans here?
All right, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your question. All right, next up, how you doing? What's your name?
Question for both Howie and Joe. Howie, I've been a huge fan of your work, especially some CD-ROM games, Toonland, Great World Adventure, and Great Math Adventure, like for Howie there. Do you have any notable experiences doing those games?
No, for those that don't know, when CD-ROMs were a thing, I did a character called Little Howie, and it became the #1 educational CD-ROMs for reading, math, and what was amazing about it is they became the #1 educational CD-ROMs worldwide. And I'll be totally honest with you, I don't have a GED, and I was thrown out of 4 different schools. So to be associated with anything that kind of moved education along is kind of ironic. But thank you for your question, buddy.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot.
If you make a Gremlins 3, what would Gizmo's fate be, seeing how he was kind of responsible, like indirectly responsible for all the incidents in Gremlins 1 and 2? What would his fate be in Gremlins 3?
So I already made a Gremlins 3 for TV, which is the Secrets of the Mogwai cartoon show, which is very good, by the way, for those of you who haven't seen it. I don't have an answer for that.
All right, next up, how you doing? What's your name? What's your question?
I apologize. My name is Gio. My mom is a huge fan of yours, and I have to ask this question for her. She wants to know, what was your favorite role you've been in, Howie? Christopher Howie Mandel.
My favorite role? Gizmo. It was, I got to work with a genius. I got to, it was a job where you didn't even have to wear pants. I showed up into a sound booth each and every day, and this guy would stand behind me, go, try this, and give me the moves. It was kind of like easy and joyful. And again, what's amazing about it, it was a surprise. And it's not because I was looking at, they'd already filmed it when I got to it. So I saw these things on the screen, and even without the sound, I saw this little creature who you just fell in love with, who made you laugh, who you got scared for, even without the sound. The fact that they were able to create this movie, it's not my voice. My voice is just a little bit of, you know, spice on top, just to add a little flavor. But it was, and then to have that movie come out, and it's probably, out of the things that I've done, and I think I'm right, it's probably the most successful thing that I've done. The fact that I'm sitting here 40 years later and people are asking the questions kind of is a testament to how much this meant to move people.
Also, you're gonna kill me both for this, but I haven't seen Gremlins, but as soon as I get home, I'm gonna watch Gremlins for you and Joe. Oh my God, you always know that.
And Zach.
Zach, I'm sorry, I apologize, my friend.
Well, that's Zach. You're not looking at him. That's Zach.
Zach, for all you involved in the production, I need to see it. I apologize.
No worries. Thanks a lot. Working?
Hello? Okay.
There we go.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate
How you
that.
doing? It's the sister duo. How you guys doing? How you doing? Let them know what your name is and what's your question. Come on, close to the mic.
Closer to the mic.
You can pull it down. You can pull it down if you need to.
Okay?
Just take it, just take it down.
Just talk right.
There you go.
My name is Lizzie, and what's your favorite line from Gizmo?
Favorite line from Gizmo?
In any language.
So Howie and I did a Gizmo Mountain Dew commercial in 2021 for Mountain Dew Zero Sugar, and Howie has a line reading that I use all the time whenever I'm about to spill something or drop something. Howie goes, "Gizmo, careful!" And so I'll be home, and like my girlfriend will be like about to spill something, I'll be like, "Gizmo, careful!" to her. So that's my favorite line reading of his, and it's a new one.
I like.
That's the first time I've ever heard that live. It's amazing.
All right, this is the other half of the sister duo.
My name is Annabelle, and I have two questions. What type of animal is Gizmo?
What type of animal is Gizmo?
He's a mother.
And why did you make Gremlins?
I needed the money.
There you go.
Two truthful answers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Howdy. My name is Howie Mandel. No, it's Adrian. This is a question for everybody though. Over the past 40 years, horror and horror comedy have obviously changed a ton. And do you think that if Gremlins was made today, it would have the same impact? Or has the genre shifted in a way that wouldn't connect with audiences the same? Because I think everybody here that's seen the movie would agree that it's clearly a classic and iconic role or movie from the 1980s. And I'm just curious what your take is.
My take is it was the right movie at the right time, and it could have come out 2 months earlier or 2 months later, and it might not have done it. That was a little lightning in a bottle for us. Absolutely.
Well, because it came out at Christmas, but maybe you disagree. What? Came out in summer?
Came out June 8th. Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. No spoilers. but to answer your question, I think if that movie was made today, it would still work because the proof is in the pudding. You're sitting here asking questions about it today, about a movie that came out in 1984. So I think that when you tickle the humanity bone and the humor and the conflict of humanity that spreads this wide, it's, you know, if you go look at a lot of movies, they don't hold up. If you watch Gremlins tomorrow, it holds up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you guys very much. Thank you.
I can tell you, I went back and rewatched Gremlins right before we did the show just because I always want to make sure I'm up on it. And I completely agree with you. I'm like, it holds up to, there are some movies from that mid-80s era that are completely lost to the test of time and some that are not. And this one, absolutely, you can watch it 10, 20, 30, you can watch it 20 more years from now and it's still going to hold up. Very well done.
And I believe the movie itself holds up. It transcends, this one specific time. I just feel that also as horror progresses and audiences expect more and more of that jump, even though it's horror comedy. I feel like nowadays there's a lot more expectation for the extreme, and so I feel like when I think about it, I feel like if the movie was made with all those extremes, I don't know if the essence of the movie would be the same. So I think that like when and where it was made is amazing. I don't think that would change anything. But that's kind of where the question
Well,
is.
one of the reasons that it has stood the test of time is because when we made it, we intentionally made it look like an old movie. We didn't shoot it on streets, we shot it in the back lot, we tried to make it stylized like an old movie, so that there would be nothing in the movie that would date. And when you see the movie, there's not a lot of stuff in the movie that's dated.
That's actually fair. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. All right, next up, what's your name? What's your question? No.
Hey, my name is Adam, and my question for you guys is, well, really I wanted to ask if Gremlins is a Christmas movie, but you already answered that. So my next question is going to be, can you tell any stories about the cameos in Gremlins 2? Were there any cool interactions with all the crazy cameos that were in that movie or anything like that? And what made you guys want to go down that route of getting all those cool cameos for the movie?
There are a lot of cameos. Some of them are very short. Bubba Smith is on screen for like so short a time that nobody even knows who he is because that's it. There used to be a scene that he had and that was cut out, but the end of the scene is still there. And of course Hulk Hogan is in the movie, at least in the theatrical version. And there's Leonard Maltin, who gave the picture a bad review in 1984. We asked him to come back and he said, Leonard, do you want to get killed by the Gremlins for your bad review? And he said, sure. So he came back and he let the Gremlins kill him. And it was just sort of like, one of my favorite movies is Hell's a Poppin', which is a movie that most people haven't seen because it's out of circulation. But it's a movie based on a play where everything was different every night. And so you could never be sure what was going to happen. And so we wanted that to be our template for this movie. We wanted people not to know where it was going to go or how it was going to get there, and just to make a crazy movie. And that's what we did.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Can I sneak in one more question?
Make it real quick,
Quick one. Howie, do you have any cool stories about Little Monsters? That's my favorite movie ever. Do you have any cool stories about the making of that?
Yeah. You're up.
All right, what's your question?
Hi, my name is Nikki, and the question is right. Rather the second season, which just come through for Secrets of the Mogwai. I know, Zach, you ended up doing some of the voice work for the first season, but I've yet to hear anything from Howie. Is there any reason why you haven't come back?
Is there any reason why I didn't come back?
As far as I know, we asked you to do it and you were too busy.
I never got that. I swear.
That's
I would have loved to have been part of it.
what I heard was that they couldn't get in touch with him, or they figured he wasn't
couldn't get in
interested,
touch with me.
or they figured he wasn't interested, or he'd done it too many times.
It's not true.
That's all we know. I just never heard of it.
Why the hell would you bring up this shit now? I don't want to talk about things like that. I have so many great stories about little monsters we could be spending time on. Instead of a job that was not offered to me. If he ever called and ever wanted me to do anything, at any cost, I would do it for you.
I will take it up with the producers.
Please. All right.
All right, that was great. All right, so next up, what's your name? What's your question?
Hi, I'm Ingrid, and thank you so much. It's such amazing to have seen you here today. I've seen the movie, now this generation is watching the movie. Could we expect another Gremlins movie in the theaters?
Joe, could you expect another Gremlins movie in theaters?
It's basically a Gremlins 3 question.
Gremlins 3 question?
They asked me, I said I don't have time, I'm not around, they can't get in touch with me. There was going to be, but I'm just not available.
There is currently no script that I know of for a Gremlins 3. I did hear of one script, but Gizmo dies in it. So I don't think that's probably the one they're going to make.
Well, I'm available for that.
It would be lovely if you guys could have that happen.
We'll keep it in mind.
Thank you so much. All right, we got a couple more questions. All right, how you doing, my man?
Thanks. My name's John. Question. Further from the Mandalorian, it's not just Gizmo and cosplay.
Oh, this is a Baby Yoda controversy
Baby
question?
Yoda, you mean the character that was completely copied from Gizmo? Yeah, is that the one you're talking about? Yeah, well,
Nice.
It is. Obviously it was. I told people that I thought it was. I got in trouble. People said, oh, look, he doesn't like Star Wars. And it's like, no, I'm just
And
saying.
what show is it on? Mandalorian. Hello?
Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. That was a good question. All right, we got 2 more left. How you doing, man? What's your name?
I'm Alex.
Alex, what's your question?
Out of all the different Gremlins, which one's your favorite?
Wow, there's so many. I like the background one.
Steven.
I'm gonna go with the electric gremlin. That's my favorite. Gremlins 2, I love this scene where the electric gremlin gets trapped and is forced to listen to elevator music. That's one of my favorite bits in Gremlins 2.
He's a cool one, yeah.
All right, so we got the last question coming up. This is going to be the most amazing question in the history of
No
questions.
pressure.
No
No
pressure.
pressure for the guy in the Gremlin shirt. What's your name? Caleb, what is the most amazing question in the history of all questions? What you got?
I miss practical effects. Will we ever see a movie like this that has practical effects? Because I miss that era.
There are a lot of directors who really do like practical effects, and many of the recent pictures that have come out, the directors have been specific about, yes, they want to use CGI, because CGI is a great tool, and allows you to do more with practical effects. You can hide puppeteers, you can hide all sorts of stuff. But I think practical effects are coming back, and I think people in Hollywood certainly the people who make them are really into keeping them going.
My wife asked the exact same question on our honeymoon night.
Also, when we did the Mountain Dew commercial, I found this out later after I did the Mountain Dew commercial, but they basically took Baby Grogu and just tore the green thing off of Baby Grogu and took a brown and white one and stuck it on the Baby Grogu, and it worked perfectly. And so we did the commercial in about 8 or 9 hours, and it probably would have taken, back in the 80s, probably would have taken like a week to do the commercial and to get the takes that they wanted. So, and that was all practical effects, and it was absolutely staggering, to me at least, the difference between, you know, Rick Baker's effects, which were in 1989 absolutely cutting edge and phenomenal. I mean, Rick Baker's a complete genius. But this was like the difference between a horse and buggy and a Tesla. I mean, it was night and day in terms of the fluidity. You didn't have to do retakes. You could use CGI to go in and cut out any of the wires or the things like that. So I think CGI hopefully might help practical effects, because it can get rid of some of the flaws that we had to cover by doing multiple takes many times.
Good stuff, good stuff. All right, so because you have to get over to your panel, to your photo ops and things like that, we're gonna have to cut the panel right here. So let's summon.
No, we have absolutely nothing to do.
Nothing to do, nothing at all for you to sign back there.
No, nothing.
All right, so we're going to summon the show photographer. Like we always do. We gotta make sure we get Corey to come up here. Once Corey comes up here, we're going to get around the other side of the table and we're going to take a couple of pictures.
Do the reverse shot that way?
Yes. All right, so you guys ready? Corey. Oh, he wants to be you want it. Like for Gizmo.
Keep the water away from me, please.
All right, so let's get